Yeah, you have.
Can I have your attention real quick? I just want to take this opportunity to thank Bill for displaying his work here. He's done this before. I actually got this letter in the mail a couple of years ago telling me that the gentleman writing the letter was a former Stowe resident, that he really loved the library. He actually, if you don't mind me saying, he learned to smoke outside on the front steps. And that he used to hang out in the library all the time. And that he was now a ceramics artist, and he was wondering if we might want to display some of his work. So we did, and this is pre-restoration. And so then when we did the restoration and these cases went up, the first person that I wanted to display his work here was Bill. So I contacted him, and he agreed to bring up some of his pieces. I think the thing that I really enjoy about his work is A, it's wonderful. But B, he tends to do things, at least the ones he shows me, he tends to do things based around authors and stuff that he's reading and stuff that he's interested in. So it brings a lot of attention to authors and books for patrons who come in and might not have necessarily been exposed to their work. So thank you so much. I can't thank you again. And we'll have you back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. I do the same to you, but I'm getting cold, so I'm not sure that's going to be the best thing ever. So thank you very much. So you want to talk a little about what it is?
I'd like to say that there's plenty of food.
Yep.
Please don't hold back. We have drinks down there. We were going to have martinis, but
Sorry, you can't. There's no policy about that. Yeah. No alcohol and all the kids. So, sorry about that. You can, however, if you go off the ground, if you go to drink in the middle of the road, they were
well, I want to thank you, Melissa, for inviting me. I've always enjoyed Stowe. I've enjoyed the people and community, and it's always great to come back here. We're in New Jersey now, but it's always well worth the trip. So we always have fun.
You
We
do.
got to know each other pretty well over the years. I had a show here 2 years ago, and then again, this is probably the latest pieces. And pieces that I think you'd all recognize, certainly, and if you don't recognize them, there's a nameplate underneath. So that's going to be, I'll explain a little bit about the work. It's clay that has been fired to about 2,300 degrees Fahrenheit. All the pieces are pretty stable because they've been fired clay and glazes that are stable. They're all hollow. We won't get into the technique of how they're made, but each one takes me quite a while because I spend a lot of time really finding out who the person is that I'm going to sculpt. And so my latest work is Louisa May Alcott and Harriet Beecher Stowe. And then I'm going to take a break from ceramic people. I call them forgotten people. And certainly, as you look around, they are forgotten by a lot of people, younger people in our society. A lot of you people certainly remember Churchill and Eleanor Roosevelt, and probably not so much Oscar Wilde, or Nathaniel Hawthorne. But anyway, it seems like an appropriate place to show my work, the library, because these people are authors and people with notoriety. So right now I'm doing also a lot of work on sculptured pieces and forms. And I've left a couple of books here so you can take a look at some people that have inspired me over the years, Henry Moore and a few other sculptors that I really adore and have over the years. And I went to high school here, right across the way. So I'm quite familiar with this library and in the surrounding neighborhood. And I have old friends here. Skip Warren and I went to school together in the day. So listen, enjoy yourself. There's plenty of food out there. Well, don't leave anything. Yeah, just scoop it up, yeah.
How does the work you did professionally relate to your sculpture?
Pardon?
Your background is as an engineer?
Yeah, my background is an engineer. I worked as an engineer for many years. I retired in 89. So I've been retired for 30 years. So but I've been doing sculptural work and working in ceramics for probably 50 years. So it's does it help me in what I do? I don't know. But anyway, it's my new business.
Hey, Bill, how did you get started doing ceramics?
Pardon?
How did you get started doing ceramics?
I don't know. I just like to work in clay.
Huh.
And if anybody has ever dealt with clay, it's a fun material. And it's a good way to be creative. And it just seems to, have some durability to it. So all these sculptures, when I pass on and somebody digs these up, they'll still be vital or alive, Interesting, the firings are really interesting. I fire in a gas kiln outside, so I have to be very careful about the weather. If the weather's bad, you have to postpone the firing. But it's tricky because it's a gas firing and you never really know how my pieces will be affected by the fire. This is an example of some of the pieces that have survived. But there are many pieces that haven't survived. They crack. They sometimes get distorted in the kiln. But usually my success rate is probably, I would say, 80%, which is happily okay for me. So, okay, that's it, folks.
Are these solid?
No,
No,
they couldn't be so.
Yeah.
I go through a process. I make the master. I make one, and then I make a casting.
Did you make this?
Your style?
Yeah.
This is not solid, you're saying? This is
No.
all on the inside? Are you gonna tap it? Here?
There's a hole.
Oh,
It's also, it's
is it heavy?
Yeah, pick it up.
Okay.
It's on.
Oh! Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I was here. Good to see you. Hey, how you doing?
They're all dressed up today.
I knew you were coming.
Yeah.
I knew you were going to.
I don't say that's Emily Dick. I thought that was Emily Dick. Yeah, you got it.
Oh. You can't eat, the doctor said don't die.
Yeah, Terry, don't you think that
And normally,
It's clay.
is it natural?
He'll give a talk. I think so.
That's amazing.
we haven't seen Winston Churchill, right? It's not.
That must be helpful.
Oh, you
That
got it.
Yeah.
What you got?
We've
You?
lived here maybe 7 years.
Well, I hate to tell you, I lived here, so, but I lived in Gleason area,
Yeah.
so I don't, and I.
You got it. Well, because when you grow up, come over.
Anytime. So you want to ask me some questions, Dorothy, right?
We're gonna do some questions and answers for Stowe TV.
I like that. And if I can't answer them, is that okay?
Yes.
And stumble over it. I don't want to lie. So if I don't have an answer for you, then you'll understand. So, shoot. What's the first question?
I'm Dorothy Sonicson representing the Stowe Historical Society, and we're so pleased to have Bill Wickey joining us with his beautiful sculptures.
who was also a member of the Stowe Historical Society,
Of course.
in good standing.
Bill Wickey used to live in Stowe,
Yes, I did.
and you
Many-
now live in
I live in Morristown, New Jersey,
this town?
which is probably 20 miles west of New York City.
His family was one of the ones that had their land taken by the government
Yes,
for World War II preparations.
that's correct.
He gave a program about 2 weekends ago talking about that experience. And
That sad experience.
Yes, very. And that will be televised on Stowe TV. So we'll ask some different questions today.
About sculpture,
Yes.
okay.
But first we can ask, what years did you live in Stowe and what schools did you attend?
Well, I was born here at our farm on where the ammo dump is now, or where the wildlife refuge is now. But when the government took it over, it was we called it the ammo dump. And I was born there, and I grew up on Crescent Street, and I left Stowe in 1957 to join the military, 3 years. And I never really came back to live in Stowe, but I come to visit Stowe because I love the community. And I'm back here probably every three or four times a year, and enjoy it immensely, or else I wouldn't be here. So, and it's a lot of fun to have my work here because the library was a big part of my life. And I went to Hale High School across the way, and went to Pilot Grove School, and also Gleasondale School.
Mm-hmm. And when did you start making ceramic sculptures?
I began working in ceramics probably 45 years ago. But the sculpture represents my recent work, which is probably in the last 4 or 5 years. And these are recent pieces that I have here, and pieces that people would easily recognize. And if you didn't recognize them, there's a nameplate to help you out.
And I understand you call them your forgotten people.
They're called by me the Forgotten People. So we're breaking lunch with the Forgotten People. Not forgotten by a lot of people, but the younger people certainly don't recognize Nathaniel Hawthorne or Eleanor Roosevelt, or unfortunately even Winston Churchill.
Were you always interested in art?
As far back as I can remember, yes.
And do you have a background in art education?
No, I have a background in engineering. I went to Northeastern University in 1952 to 1957, and then was an engineer for 35, 40 years. I worked for the LaPointe Machine Tool Company in Hudson for a while. When I was in college, I was a co-op student. And I have a few friends here that worked at LaPointe Machine Tool Company. I won't mention their name, but they know who they are.
And on all your visits back up to Stowe, what do you notice as the biggest changes?
The traffic, amazing. I'll tell a story. When I lived here, we used to sit on the porch and watch, wait for a car to go by. We could kind of guess what model and make it was. But Now it's hard to get out of Crescent Street onto Gray Road.
And do you miss living in Stowe?
I miss Stowe a lot. I mean, I enjoy where I live now, but I really miss this community and the fun that I had here over the years, and the freedom I had. And this is probably where I learned, or I realized the importance of being free and easy. And we moved around. My friends and I moved around in all different directions. And it's really interesting on Great Road, just in a very short distance from Crescent Street to the town line, there were 13 boys my age. That was pretty remarkable. So I was never without some help in doing various things. Well, it was a great place to grow up. And I always thought about coming back and living here, but I'm quite happy in New Jersey, and my family is there. My grandchildren are there. And so here I am. But I make sure that I come back here every 3 or 4 years just to check out, see how everybody's doing, and checking the town and seeing that everything's okay. I still have friends here.
Are there any questions from the people gathered here that they'd like to ask? Karen?
I'd like to know how you learned about glazing. And glazing is a very technical problem.
Interesting, but I read a lot. I liked art, and I felt that clay was a real medium that I would enjoy. And I like the idea of color and coloring the clay pieces. As you can see here, I spent a lot of time designing the piece, but also designing the color to fit in with the piece. So it's been interesting for me. And also, I'm a working artist. There's a lot of people out there that claim to be artists. But I work every day at my craft. There is very little, there are very little breaks between my work. So I work winter, summer. I have a studio, it's heated. And I work at least 4 to 6 hours every day on my work. And that's not fragmented.
You mentioned that the firing furnace is outside.
My kiln is outside. It's natural gas. It's a clean fire. It's a 12-hour firing. And I do it probably every 3 or 4 months. I can gather enough work to fill the kiln. It's a fairly sizable kiln. But it's interesting and exciting work. And I think that's why I enjoy it.
Are there other questions?
Well, I want you to all know that I'm not a starving artist. Nice to sell pieces, but I can do other things to make a dollar, and it's not easy to sell. I do a lot of shows, and every once in a while somebody will buy a piece. And we'll see. Somebody will buy one of these pieces.
Do you want to tell us about your pieces?
Cut rate, huh?
You want to talk to us about your various pieces?
Would you like to talk about your pieces
Well,
here?
there's not much to say. They're all, you're going to shoot them. Of course, this is one of my favorites. Nathaniel Hawthorne came through Stowe with Ralph Waldo Emerson. They walked from Concord to Harvard and stopped in Stowe. And they were upset because they couldn't get a drink. This is I think it was 1840 or 1842. They came through town. They walked. Everybody walked. So it's quite a walk from Concord. They came up Great Road, and then they took the back road, back road into Concord. This is Oscar Wilde, so, you know, if you read Oscar Wilde, you might find him interesting. And of course, Winston Churchill, easily identified, and Eleanor Roosevelt, and of course, one of my favorites, Emily Dickinson over here. Read about Emily Dickinson if you haven't. She's quite a woman and quite a poet. In fact, many well-known poets, heavy hitters that have published, find her work really magnificent. Some of her poems are difficult to understand, but there are some that are pretty accessible and kind of fun to read. So she's a poet of some notoriety. And that's it.
Thank you. I heard you described as the finest poet produced by 19th century America.
Pardon?
I heard it described in an interview with another poet that Emily Dickinson was the finest poet created, or who wrote in the 19th century America.
I'll tell you, the poets that are well known, have been around for a long time. They think she's magnificent. I use it to a magnificent poet. Poetry is hard to figure out.
Styles have changed. Not many of us are into Longfellow like
Yeah.
we would have been back then.
Well, she had some issues, though. You know, one of the main issues is that she didn't leave the house, you know.
She what?
She didn't leave the house. She didn't leave the
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
Well, there's something happened.